Thank you, Dr. Basalirwa. Good morning to everyone. A warm welcome to you all. We are very pleased that you choose to start your day with us. We're very excited and honored to welcome our speaker from the Ugandan National Bureau of Standards, Mr. John Kyazze, who is going to be speaking to us about how we can use standards to grow our businesses. It is very important that regardless of the sector, the size of your business, that we pay attention to standards, because today's business landscape is very competitive, it's highly dynamic, and simply having a good product or service is just not enough. It's very important that as we run our businesses, we are able to build trust, we are able to thrive using quality. So this is where we have standards coming in, and it's very important for us to appreciate that standards can actually be used as an asset. We can use standards to build a reputation. We can use standards to break into new markets, both here in Uganda and beyond. So the National Bureau of Standards is here to help us understand standards, how we can use standards to grow our business. We really appreciate you, Mr. John Kyazze, for accepting to come and share how we can get standards into our businesses. How can we go about building these standards? And then how can UNBS support us in the process? I request that we are all able to listen closely, ask questions, and engage with our speaker. But also allow me to talk about Mr. John Kyazze. He holds a master's degree in oil and gas management. He has over 20 years of experience in standardization, quality assurance, metrology, and testing. He's an expert and trainer in standardization, knowledgeable in issues surrounding standards, promotion and implementation, quality assurance. He has worked very closely with the private sector and also participated in the regional standards development for business development services and entrepreneurship. Thank you very much, Mr. Kyazze, for making time to be with us. And you have 40 minutes to make your presentation, and thereafter we shall have a question and answer session. Thank you again, and over to
you. Good morning to you all. My name is John Kyazze. I would like to once again thank you very much for having given me an opportunity to come and interact with you through this session. I work with UNBS just like I said, as the senior standards officer. So let me put up the presentation. Let me see. Can I get sharing, right? So I can see it's saying someone else is sharing.
Josh is going to give you the right.
Oh, I think, let me see. I think I've got it. Can we see it? All of us?
Oh, yes. I think we just need it to come through slide presentation mode. Eh?
Yeah, I think it's there. Can we see it, all of us? Inside presentation mode?
Yes, I can confirm from my side. It's in slide presentation mode, yeah.
Okay. All right. Once again, thank you very, very much for this such a great opportunity. So our presentation is going to focus on using standards to grow and maybe probably boost our business. And I'll give you this in a brief. I'll talk about standards and everything. So let me start by talking about UNBS, where I work, my employee. UNBS is a statutory organization established by the UNBS Act, Chapter 202. It used to be something like 323, but our government has recently changed. They realigned them, they came up with new chapters. So ours is UNBS Act Chapter 202. And the mandate very quickly is related to formulation of national standards. We can say development of what? Of national standards. Once we develop standards, the next thing is to ensure that we promote them as either national or Uganda standards. Promotion is basically through like awareness. It can be any session where we talk about them. And then once we promote the national standards, then we go to their implementation. Of course, implementation is through various things, and I'm going to talk about that, but we implement national standards. The vision of UNBS in brief is to provide standards, measurements, and conformity services for improved quality of life and vision. UNBS is a leading institution of international repute in the provision of sustainable standardization services. So we need to work also in a much more sustained way. And our core values are professionalism, customer focus, and then integrity, teamwork, and innovation. Those are just the core values of UNBS, which through we operate. So our key services, the key services for UNBS are standards development and promotion. I've talked about that. Once we develop standards, and then we have to promote them either through training, awareness, or like that, and so on and so forth. We do surveillance. This constitutes both market and industrial. Market is related to products that are on the market. We have to see where they meet requirements or they don't. And these are largely products, of course, that sometimes come from industry or are imported from outside of the country. And then industrial, this is, we do check whether industries that have been granted permission to use our distinctive mark, like the quality mark, are consistent in producing products that meet requirements of standards. Certification, UNBS certifies products or services or processes to ensure that they meet specific requirements of standards, so that they can guarantee consumers that the quality of the products are safe and of course are healthy. We do testing. Testing is one of the biggest activities. We test products. This involves evaluation of the product against set requirements of the standard to ensure that there are certain characteristics that comply with the standard. And then the other one is legal metrology. This is legal by law. Let me give you an example. If you're buying bread, you want to see it's 1 kilogram. So we have a weights and measurements, weights and measurement act, which you use to implement this. It's by law. Industrial metrology is commercial. Commercial, you want your weighing equipment, whether weighing scales, with dispensing equipment or something, to be calibrated. And then we do imports inspection. We check goods that come into the country for, health and safety, but of course, protection of the environment. We also do train as well. Now, I'm going to take you to the core of what we do. One of our core mandates is related to standards. And of course, that's development, promotion, and implementation. And I'm going to talk about what standards are. What are they? Okay. So I can say that standards, they are documents. They are documents just like documents that provide requirements, and I'll speak about requirements here. They can be specifications, guidelines, or basically characteristics to ensure that materials, products, processes, and services are fit for their purpose. For instance, if we talk about a standard and it's a specification, it is a set of conditions for how materials and products are manufactured, measured, and tested. So specification is a range. Like if you talk about water, you find that water, you're saying it should have this amount of iron, but the amount of iron is within a specific range, like maybe from 0.1 to 0.2. That's a kind of a specification. Now, a requirement is a necessity or prerequisite or obligatory. Now, you may find that when you develop a standard, it can come out and it's just basically maybe a specification. We can decide because it's a specific product, it affects the health and safety of consumers, then we turn it into a requirement standard. It will cover many things inside there, but they are mandatory. They are for mandatory application, just like you see when we issue our quality mark, it's mandatory. So that becomes a requirement. Now, guidelines are designed just to streamline certain processes according to what the best practices could be. We have been having, let me give you an example. We have developed standards for business development services. Business development services are, these are like non-financial services that help MSMEs, small and growing businesses, startups, and so on and so forth, to be able to overcome obstacles. So the standards we have are basically guidelines. These guidelines are just to help someone to do certain things. They are not mandatory. But what thing I can say, sometimes guidelines, depending on where you are, you use them. Sometimes where you go, someone may require that those specific guidelines, you implement them based on a certain regulation. I'll give an example. COVID, they gave guidelines, but those guidelines were guiding us like you stay at home, like this, but they were much more used in a way that were mandatory. You find that they were enforcing them. Now, a code of practice, these can be specifications using a certain product, building, or process. Let me give you an example. Codes of practice are very common in engineering, even in professional studies, even in education. So standards can give you a code of practice. These are best international practices that can be followed depending on an area or a sector. Therefore, I can say standards are documents established by governments, like through UNBS, that can give rules, guidelines, or characteristics of activities aimed at producing a common product, service, and process. That is how I can assess what standards are. And UNBS has developed quite a number of standards for products, processes, and services. I think for products, you can know there are quite many, and that is very, very important. Okay, so that we may not have challenges. I don't know. I think I will go, and if there is anything that requires clarification, probably, then maybe, I don't know, you will guide accordingly. So the next part of understanding what standards are in terms of requirements, specification, guidelines, and code of practice, then we need to understand their importance. Why are standards important? Because we keep talking about them. and we develop them, we implement them. But why are they important in a business or in an economy? Now, I can say that standardization broadly eliminates ambiguity in business transactions. Let me still use an example of that standard for business development services. You'll find that we can define what a business is, what a business development service is, what a small and growing business is, or what an MSME is. We'll find that you don't find ambiguity in those terms. So when you're transacting, you can understand them. Or the other standard I can talk about, there is a standard we are almost approving. It is on women entrepreneurship. You'll find that you can define quite a number of things inside there. What is entrepreneurship? What is women entrepreneurship? What is a women-led business? And so on and so forth. Probably we'll have some time or session for that. Standards show the characteristics of products and how the products are made. This helps improve quality of products. I give an example. Let's give an example of water. When you look at it just with your eyes physically, suppose you find that it is bottled and it is not clean, then you have to suspect something. That's a physical characteristic. If you find it with the suspended matter, like some particles inside, you may not take it. Okay, so there are other things that are beyond that, like we do chemical parameters, we check out for heavy metals, for nutrients that are important for the body, but they are within a certain range, but also for microbiological, characteristics, like we check whether it has some salmonella or Vibrio cholerae, things that can harm the safety of a human being. So that's why we say they show characteristics of products and how the products are made. The process, this helps improve quality of products. Standards also help protect the consumer. Government can only accept quality products to be sold in the market. This helps protect consumers. So this is why we have them. And these are the ones that are mandatory standards, those that give requirements. So that is one importance of standards. Standardization leads to lower costs of production by reducing redundancy, minimizing errors and time on the market. Let me give you an example. There is this supplier of tomatoes. Because this supplier doesn't know what the other person wants, they take tomatoes that are, damaged, defective, or even going to rot. So the person rejects your tomatoes. That, no, that's not the type I want. I want the ones that are still fresh, that are not damaged, that are not having worms. So you keep losing. However, when you get the standard and you understand those requirements, they should appear like this, maybe from orange to red or green. They should be of this type of shape. They should not have damage. Then you can reduce on costs of your production. The other part of it, compliance to standards by any business helps its products, services, and personnel to cross borders. And they can market their goods and services in other countries. So it's about market access. You look at the standard, you want to export your product, and you look at the requirements in the standard. Let me say, in East Africa, we are trading. We have harmonized standards, so it's very important. You understand the entry requirements, the other side. Yeah, so you can comply as a business. The other part of it, businesses that participate in standards development. Now, if you participate, let's say you're an entrepreneur, okay? If you participate in standards developments, It helps to improve your efficiency, maintain market access, and remain competitive. This is one way of getting free knowledge, of participating in the decision, influencing decisions. Standards are basically very important for that. When associations, when consortia or any representation is in the process, participates in the process, they help, they guide, so that at some point the standards are not unfair. That's what I can say. Customers want products and services that are of high quality, reliable, consistent, and safe, just like I earlier on defined here. Okay, so customers want products and services that are of high quality, reliable, consistent, and safe. Hence, reliance on quality earns customer loyalty to the industry or business. I can call it like that. And that's very clear. Then, standards also promote trade. If the product is of good quality, then you can sell it. This helps products to move from one place to another. I think it's similar to what we have just seen for market access. Okay, so that is it for standards, for the importance of standards. What is their role in a business? If I'm having a business, whether it's a small business or growing, or if I'm involved in innovation or incubation, name it, or it can be any type of business. So standards can serve as reference documents that are used in contracts or international trade on which commercial transactions are based. I'll give you an example. You are bidding, or you are going into a contractual kind of obligation. Standards can be part of those obligations. Okay, it can be a basis for us to work together. They represent a level of technical expertise, okay, and technology that are used by businesses as the indisputable definitions that simplify and clarify contractual relations between economic partners. So all of us, we just know the same, I could put it, language, okay? The same language. We can define a business the same way. We can define entrepreneurship the same way. We can understand the way a service is just the same way. So this is what it means, okay? We can now do transactions. They simplify, they don't make things hard. A standard is a document that is used by jurisprudence to settle disputes. So by law, you'll find that, let me give you an example within East Africa. We have harmonized standards. If we didn't harmonize, then we could find some barriers to trade. Kenya is in a different jurisdiction: Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, South Sudan. Now, let me give you an example. We have harmonized a standard on business development services, and which we're going to apply here. And for those involved in any BDS, they can work throughout the region without finding obstacles in trade. This is what it means, that a document that is used by jurisprudence to settle disputes where they can be, someone is talking something different. But we say no, but the standard is already an East African standard, and the terminology and everything is very clear. What is in Kenya is what is in Uganda, is what is in Tanzania, Burundi, or Rwanda, or South Sudan. Okay? So, after talking about the role of standards in a business, what are the drivers of the application of standards? The key things is One, quality and safety. Quality and safety is one of the key drivers for application of standards in a business. The other part of it is reputations or reputation. For someone to trust and guarantee and work with you, you need to have a business that is, standardized or meets these standards requirements, follows certain standards. The other part of it is related to risks, managing risks effectively. You recall earlier on, I said that imagine you have been given a contract to supply tomatoes. But when you supply tomatoes, you don't think about requirements or specifications for those tomatoes. You keep supplying. And when you keep supplying, they keep rejecting. So the risk is likely that you lose a lot of money, okay? And there are also reputational risks. Someone can say, no, I don't trust what you give me, so please, can we stop? And of course, there are many other things inside there. The other issue is related to operational efficiency. Operational efficiency, in terms of your operations, standards are structured in a way that they help you to, to plan for your work and then how to do and check and act. Most especially, let's think about some standards in the context of management systems. You can plan, and that means you need to get your resources, and then when you go to do, you execute your operations when your resources have been, focused for that particular operation. And then where things are not doing well, you go back and say what went wrong, and you have to improve. In terms of compliance, of course, this is related to meeting regulatory requirements. Like for instance, at UNBS, we have certification regulations. They are there to, be followed based on these standards. But of course, this is related to a business. In these days, we have social responsibility, or what they call environmental social governance. You need to think about the environmental issues, the social issues, the ones related to employees, how do you treat them, and so on and so forth. Governance, are you corrupt? What is your record? What is your reputation? And so on and so forth. Then when you come down here, broadly in the country, we have what they call government priorities. These are drivers today. And we have what they call NDP3. We have the ATMs, agriculture, tourism, minerals, and then the government's tenfold strategy. And then there are those in also private sector. They also have business development framework, development services framework, and then there are private sector strategies, and so on and so forth. These may not only be on the government priorities, but it also depends on the nature of your business. Okay, this I can say, is it in the local context? Is it in a regional context? Is it in a global context? Okay, where you will have to follow either value chains. This can be regional or global value chains. Okay, and of course, is it capital intensive? Is it not? So things like that, the nature of your business, what is it about? Now, how do we develop standards? Because I have talked about them. This is a very crucial part, most especially when businesses or enterprises, or, depending on the sector, are participating in the development of standards. We adhere to certain principles. The first one is consensus. When we discuss a standard and it becomes what it is, we reach consensus. Decisions are reached through consensus. Sometimes you may find that someone is not agreeing. So we know that, okay, there is some unanimity, but we have to reach a decision through consensus. The process of standards development is open. Participation is open to all interested parties. Anyone interested, like in, for example, from a business perspective or any other area, can. The process is transparent. The information is readily available. It is not to a few, but to all who participate. We follow technical coherence. Activities are coherent, avoiding overlaps and conflicts. Like, let's say that standard of women entrepreneurship. If there is similar work that was done, then we cannot go ahead to develop such a standard. Or if it is developed and it is in conflict with a law, then that becomes a very big challenge. So the activities related to that should be coherent with any law, any kind of instrument or anything, to avoid overlaps and conflicts. We have a due process as one of the principles. Here, all views, appeals are presented. For someone or sector that is unhappy, they are considered and concluded in the process. Flexibility, this allows use of different technologies or innovations today to achieve the desired results. Okay, because if you do it and you're limiting or just favoring a few, that becomes a very big challenge. Timeliness, work is not slowed down by purely administrative matters. Work will continue. Harmonization of standards, Uganda standards shall be promoted for adoption at regional and international level. I've given an example of the standard for business development services. So these are critical things for businesses. Okay, stakeholder engagement, it enables stakeholder groups like MSMEs and so on and so forth to have a positive effect and strengthen the national standardization system so that standards don't become inferior to them. Effectiveness, ensure the safety of consumers, reducing cost of regulation, facilitate trade and technology transfer. So the standard we developed should help. It's there to solve a market problem or need, not to create barriers. Once the standard does not do that, then we have to either amend it, or if it is a big problem, we withdraw the standard. So these are some of the ways or principles we follow. And we basically do this through what they call technical committees. And these ones are comprised of you do stakeholder balancing, you do government, ministries, departments, agencies, manufacturers, academia, research organization, private sector or foundation. You look at non-government organizations, civil society, consumers, MSMEs, and so on and so forth. So these parties agree on the standard based on consensus, like we have seen, which is built on science, technology, and I can say innovation, and best practices, including regulatory and society or societal needs. So there is a need for you to participate, to have input into the standard, to influence decisions that will help you even in a way on how to use it. So why should businesses prioritize standards? Because this is now one of the key issues after understanding the standards, how we develop, what is the basis. So implementing standards is a strategic move that can significantly enhance a business's profitability, efficiency, and sustainability. And key points to consider, like for instance, in terms of increased profitability, cost reductions. So standardized business processes can identify inefficiencies and eliminate waste, leading to cost savings. A typical example is that standard for BDS, and I'll just show you some bit of layout on it. The other part under increased profitability is higher quality products or services. Here, the standard helps to ensure consistency and quality, leading to increased customer satisfaction, because you're looking at the requirements of your customer But then when you look at the requirements, you need to be consistent in your quality so that you satisfy their needs and expectations. Market differentiation, businesses adhering to standards are distinguished from competitors, attracting more customers who value quality and reliability. Imagine you are competing and you follow standards, but you have competitors who do not follow standards. So you are at a better advantage. The second one is efficiency or enhanced efficiency. Streamlined processes allow organizations to streamline operations, reducing time and resources spent on redundant tasks. This is very common in quality management. You look at the policy, you look at your objectives and your strategic direction, and you look at your business processes that are aligned to your strategy. So you're able to know what is redundant and what is not, because the processes, in terms of process approach, all your processes work together. They are interrelated and interacting to help you to achieve a certain objective. And so that you can get the result. So that means you get enhanced operational efficiency or efficiency. Improve customer communication, facilitate better communication among employees, leading to a more cohesive and productive work. It's about some kind of your culture. Standards should be part of that. Employee empowerment. Employees understand the standards that you have decided as part of the organization or business to become independent, efficient, and very productive. The third one is reduction in waste. And here we look at resource optimization. Standards promote the efficient use of resources.
Hello, Mr. Kyazze.
Yes,
just to alert that you need to finalize in the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. So we have resource optimization, and then of course sustainability initiatives. These days, like, sustainability is important. If you don't do that, then you're out. You may get out of business. And then continuous improvement. They encourage a culture of continuous improvement, waste reduction, okay, and become part of that. And the fourth one, of course, is competitive advantage. I talked about that. But in terms of that, you get a level playing field. You can compete with big businesses. You can have customer trust, most especially when you comply, okay? And then there is adaptability as well. Here, you can implement standards in a more agile. Agile means, of course, there is to be resilient, and you get better equipped and respond to market changes and customer demands. Okay, and then of course, there are issues of commitment from top management. Now, best practices for businesses, for your business should be based on the context of your business. You do a SWOT, because these are some of the issues in standards that we have developed: leadership, skills and team culture, governance and compliance, risk management, and then you look at planning, strategy and resource management and operations. You go through them at your own time. And I think then you need to look at quality management, because this positively impacts your business growth to enhance customer satisfaction, increase sales, and improve operational efficiency. But also, you need to be implementing quality management systems so that you can build a strong reputation to attract either new or even retain existing customers, leading to sustained growth. And also, yeah, I think this one you'll go through it later. So I think let me conclude for now. Now, I can say for growing businesses, quality is more than just a compliance measure. It's a strategic investment that drives efficiency, builds trust, and unlocks new opportunities. Now, while the quality cost may require upfront expenditure for a business, whether small or large, the long-term benefits in terms of credibility, operational excellence, and market access make it a smart choice. So by prioritizing quality in your businesses, your business can position itself for sustainable growth and success in an increasingly competitive world. So I think I can conclude that in terms of what we have seen in standards. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kyazze, for such an elaborative and very detailed presentation. We appreciate your time. Thank you for finding time in your business schedule to come and talk to us. Thank you for taking us through the different aspects that you've been able to handle, and thank you for managing the time very well. You've been able to tell us about UNBS, what you do, and the mandate of UNBS. You have been able to tell us about the vision, mission, and values of NBS. You told us about the services that you offer. That is part of them, standards development and promotion, surveillance, certificate, testing, among others. You were able to tell us what standards are. You also told us why standards. You also gave us the roles of standards and indicators of the key drivers of standards, among which we have quality, safety, reputation, risks, and many others. You were also able to tell us about how to develop standards, where there should be consensus, openness, transparency, technical coherence, so as to be able to help the organizations to use something that is that has been thought through very well. We appreciate UNBS for the guidance that you give us as far as standards are concerned. I think I will not go through everything. I know people who are logged on here may have some questions for clarification. So allow me to invite Mr. Josh Karuhanga to handle the Q&A session. Please.
Thank you very much, Lady Basalira. I hope I am audible enough. Everyone can hear me. I'm going to take us through the Q&A. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to take us through Q&A. I'm just going to let us know how we're supposed to do this. Usually you can ask your question, you can type in the Q&A section of Zoom, you can type your question in the chat, or you can raise your electronic hand and you'll be given permission to unmute and ask your question directly. Okay, let me start with the first hand raised for Mr. Emmanuel Shabe. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you so much, Mr. Kyazze.
Yes, Emmanuel, we hear you.
And I come from City Star Specialty Coffee. Now, my question is, we've listened to all that you said, but my question to you directly is that what can you tell a producer that doesn't meet some of the set requirements up there, but who also outsources services from a partner or a member that meets the standards? That can this person be able to ride on say the license of the person that processes for them? Let me for instance, if I'm a coffee producer and I have processes that I dry coffee, but then the final process is made in a plant that is certified by UNBS, that certification. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kyazze, let me just give you one more question. One more question that is in the Q&A, and then I hand it over to you.
Okay.
This Mr. James Babumba is asking, is there a set period when a particular standard is reviewed? Mr. Kyazze, you can go ahead and answer those questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are very good questions and pertinent. The first one, yes, if you are dealing in a product, but the product is produced by someone, and that person has a system or process that is certified, yeah, that is acceptable. I'll give an example. Today we have people who supply OPM, but these people don't have facilities for production, but they go to another place where they get the grain and everything that is of proven quality. That is considered. I can give an example of that, and that is just the same for any other product. We only just try to. The issue is you just provide the evidence yourself as a supplier where you get your product from, and yeah, we can reach out to that place. Then the second question was a standard reviewed. Yeah, a standard is basically like a policy, law, or regulation, the kind of process. It's when a standard is used according to, I didn't talk about the procedures because they are long, that's why I gave principles, but a standard is supposed to be reviewed every 3 to 5 years. Once it is used, at that time, we can determine that this standard is helpful or not. Even when it is published today and it is used, and we find that it has challenges, the process for review can be given there was something done and it is not helping to solve a problem. So it's reviewed, I can say. The process is 3 to 5 years, but then there are those emergency needs that are considered even when it has just come out. Let me hope I've answered both of your questions.
I believe you have, but in case someone there feels that the answer is not adequate, you can elaborate more on the question. There is another question for you in the chat from Sarah Kera. She says, good morning. And she asks, what support, what support with products that are not within the available standards, other innovations? I'm trying to, what do support with products that are not within the available standards or other innovations? Mr. Kyazze, I don't know if you are understanding. Maybe Sarah, you could elaborate more on that question.
Probably I can understand. What Sarah is trying to ask is that what support can be given to a business where I think there are no existing standards. Let me give you an example. You want to trade on the market as a small business, but there are no specific standards. Now that is two-way. Sometimes, let me approach it from this way, is that you may be allowed to go ahead to have your products, but the support we usually give is to fast track the development of a standard. We look at the need for that standard, and then we fast track its development while working together with you and through a technical committee so that you can trade. Sometimes UNBS does that. They help SM, most especially the ones we get in MSMEs. But then we've also got other issues with large companies. Like there are those that have were making tiles of a certain type, And then these tiles needed to be traded on the market. We usually go ahead to support them even without like getting a Q mark. We sometimes, even if you're in a certification process and it's not yet ready, we can give you what they call a pre-market approval. That means you're not yet certified, but you have a product that is in the market. However, we work together, we monitor your product so that to see that it, we ensure that there is minimal harm to health and safety. Those are some of the ways we try to support or help. Of course, the other one is financially. There have been certain programs that have been there where we support MSMEs. Most especially MSM is not large companies. But of course, I also, earlier on, I gave an example of government programs like Parish Development Model. There are so many, even private sector itself works together with us to support you. I think there are quite a number, but usually it's important you either approach us or private sector foundation, and then you can get that support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kyazze. I am going to allow Emmanuel Tushabe to finish up with the last question, and then we close Q&A. Yes, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Josh. Mine is just to appreciate the standards body. Like the previous member asked a question, I have observed that while they are doing their work and enforcing, I have seen them, helping these small entrepreneurs. They don't stop you from, producing, especially if it is on a very, very small scale. The challenge comes when you're growing big and maybe you're trying to reach out so many people, or you're coming from one region to another. But I've seen where they come, they meet people, what are you selling? Where are you doing it from? And they close the eye for that person as they watch them grow. Honestly, I'm on the ground and I've seen that happen. And I think also entrepreneurs need to take advantage of that. That also you can even walk to their office and say, for me, I have started working, this is what I'm doing, and I'm operating from this area, but I want you to walk me through the process, and they give you guidelines. They will not stop you from doing what you're doing, but they will tell you what you need to do. Say, okay, this is what we want. They give you a checklist, and you can also continue checking with them as you move on. And I think they've really tried to do a good job. Yeah, and I commend them for that.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for the appreciation. And also, thank you very much, Mr. Kyazze, for answering all the questions elaborately. And with that, I just want to close Q&A. We're also at the top of the hour, and hand it back to our host this morning. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Josh Karuhanga, for managing the Q&A. And I'd like to appreciate our presenter today, Mr. John Kyazze. Thank you very much for being able to respond to the questions raised and giving further information concerning the discussion. We'd like to appreciate you. Thank you for finding time in your busy schedule to come and talk to the entrepreneurs. I would also like to appreciate everybody who logged on this morning. Thank you for finding time to always start your Thursdays with us. As Makerere University Business School, we do appreciate you. I'm aware we've reached the top of the hour, and I don't want to hold this anymore, but allow me to further appreciate Mr. Kyazze. And we also appreciate Uganda National Bureau of Standards, UNBS, for the big role you are playing in our country. You've really enhanced the economy, our country, most especially in meeting the standards of what is required to be done. Thank you so much for your guidance. And I'm sure as Makerere University Business School, we should be able to find time to get you again to come and talk again to our students, those at master's level, at bachelor's level, and explain to them what is required. We appreciate you very much. Thank you very much. I wish you a blessed Thursday. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, and we also thank you very, very much for giving us such a great opportunity, and we hope to continue interacting with you so much. Have a blessed day.
Gotta get up. You gotta get up and make a move. 'Cause the world will never see you until you do. No, they don't really care what you're going through. So you gotta show 'em, baby. You gotta show 'em the real you. You gotta give 'em what you got. No, don't let them see what you're not. 'Cause you are strong. You are wise. You are worth beyond 1,000 reasons why. And you can't be perfect, baby. 'Cause nobody's perfect, darling. But no, there's nobody in the world like you. What do you do when you can't let go? What do you say when you just don't know how you feel? And you know nobody knows how you feel. 'Cause everybody's got their own damn problem. So everybody's trying to find their way. And day by day it's a struggle. In this world, you know you have to hustle. Just know that you're not alone. You don't always have to be strong all by yourself. I said it's okay to ask for help. Not listen. People will find you, but they don't define you. And you will find people who help redesign you. People will find you, but they don't define you. You will find people who help redesign you. You are a work of art that you didn't think you'd come this far. And here you are, baby, you are strong. You are wise. You are worth beyond 1,000 reasons why. And you can be perfect, baby. 'Cause nobody's perfect, darling. But no, there's nobody in the world like you. You know that you can be perfect. Nobody's perfect, darling. I love you just the way this are. I love you just the way you are. Yeah. Just stars in the sky. Oh, when you look in my eyes.